Cool, man. So I wanted to take a moment and respond to your post about combating minor injuries in the gym. So you've always had these minor injuries, whether it's something in the knee, shoulder, bicep tendon, elbow, wrist, lower back, etc. You always seem to have at least one problem somewhere. Whenever my shoulder is healed, my knee will irritate. When that's healed, then my elbow will irritate, and it's just annoying me. And so, what I would say is just right off the bat, advice in this department, or just keep doing what you're doing and things will balance itself out. Definitely don't keep doing what you're doing because, in general, it's not going to balance itself out. Of course, you could get lucky and it works itself out and you never feel it again. But odds are we're going to keep going. We're going to get older. We are going to start lifting heavier and then something's going to snap and you're going to get seriously injured. And so we want to make sure that we avoid that at all costs, right? Whether your goals are just like major gains or longevity, injury ruins all of that. And so what I would suggest where we start, I'm going to suggest like three things in general, right? So number one, we do a full reset. Number two, we completely restructure. And then number three, we don't actually stop the movement. We need to make sure that we're actively building resilience. So number one, that reset, we need to take a full deload and allow the body to recover completely. So full deload doesn't mean we stop training, but it means we really limit the volume and the intensity, and we train at a point and a pace that allows the central nervous system to recover and all of the muscles to recover. We need that full recovery. Baked into that, we may even look into some peptides if you're open to that. I'm obviously not a clinician. I can't recommend anything, but I do know a lot of people benefit from certain peptides. And so some of those might be like BPC 157 or TB 500. I know a lot of people, again, see a lot of benefit, especially to injury and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of telehealth options where you can get online with a doctor, get it shipped from a pharmacy. Like, it's super cool. But full reset, 2-week deload, and then we're also going to reestablish baseline. So after that 2-week deload, we're going to go through a 2-week phase of testing. We're going to test your strength. We're going to test your movement patterns. We're going to test your cardio. We're going to test everything and see exactly where you're at. We're going to get data points from every piece of the puzzle, every part of the wheel, and put it together and paint a really good picture for this is where you're at right now. From there, restructure. What that looks like is not only are we going to account for the energy systems like I discussed yesterday, but we're also going to account for periodization, right? A lot of people have heard that word, but not as many people have heard that word as progressive overload. But to me, they go hand in hand. People talk about progressive overload, but they don't talk about periodizing. And so I run 3 different phases of training, right? We start with volume accumulation. It gets your body ready to take a beating. It teaches your body how to accumulate volume and be able to work under a certain amount of training volume that is efficacious for the goal, right? From there, after volume accumulation, we typically go into hypertrophy. Obviously, people in bodybuilding in that world, they hear that word and they're like, I just want to live here. Well, in order to train effectively in hypertrophy, our body needs to be able to handle that training volume, right? When we're doing hypertrophy work, it hurts, it's long, it's aggressive. We feel the pump, right? It's really aggressive high reps, right? Like think it's like 12, 15, 20, like we're feeling the pump. That's like stereotypical hypertrophy training. If you're not accustomed to that volume and combined with that intensity, you are going to get hurt, which is why volume accumulation precedes hypertrophy. Then after hypertrophy, we have strength training because strength is a function of your brain's ability to activate the muscle. It's not necessarily a function of how much muscle you have because we've all seen those guys in the gym that are jacked, just absolutely massive, but they're not as strong as some of the little guys, right? Because strength is neuromuscular efficiency. How efficient is your brain at activating the muscle? And so regardless of the goal, regardless of what your goal is in training, so whether it's performance, strength, bodybuilding, longevity, cardio king, whatever the case may be, we still need to be mindful of all 3 of these training phases. Now, if the goal is bodybuilding, we may spend more time in hypertrophy and volume accumulation and not as much in strength, but it doesn't mean that we completely ignore it. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And so that is really the biggest thing, is to make sure that we're accounting for progressive overload in a periodized training plan. We also need to balance that with energy system training, and we need to balance that with local muscle exposure and usage, right? We don't want to overtrain any local muscle week to week, day to day, etc. And so really balancing all three of those things is the restructure that you need to make sure that we don't flare up any of those injuries after they've healed, right? And then finally, so many people, when they have injuries, they actually like reduce movement, and that reduces resilience. We want to become more resilient, not less resilient. So have you ever heard of the knees over toes guy? He's really aggressive, and we need to squat with our knees over our toes. Now, it's a little dogmatic, it's a little extreme in one direction, but life doesn't move in these linear planes, right? Life is a combination of everything. Whether I'm playing with dog, I'm picking up my kids, moving furniture, a refrigerator, a couch, whatever the case may be, it's almost never perfect like it is at the gym. And so the gym should also be used to support our daily life, our function in daily life. And so we want to make sure that we're prepared for things like that. And so we don't want to move less or have less range of motion in the gym because we're afraid of injury. We should actually practice and prepare for those strange movements in real life. Some examples of that would be like a Zercher squat. So where you have the barbell in your like elbow pits and you squat with it there. That's a really cool movement. Or even a Jefferson curl. Now, we have to be mindful with the Jefferson curl. It can be very risky, especially when done wrong. You need to start very, very, very light. And in fact, I would not recommend a Jefferson curl for 99% of people. I've used it with a couple clients. I used it with a client who had a major back injury, and we took him from never squatting to squatting every week within 6 weeks, and we did Jefferson curls every week. But it's few and far between. It's a weird one, but look it up, Jefferson curl, Zercher squat. But again, we want to make sure that we're practicing the full range of motion. And that kind of goes back to our restructure, right? Not only do we want to make sure that we're being intentional about the program design, but we also want to be intentional about the range of motion for the joints and the health and stuff like that. So really, like in conclusion, it comes back to those three things. We need to completely reset your nervous system and your muscles. Give your body a chance to fully recover. Then we reestablish baseline, right? We do a full 2-week test. We figure out exactly where you are. From there, we make sure that the structure is appropriate for the goals. So we sit down, we talk about goals, we reverse engineer to exactly where you showed up on that test, and then we build out the macro cycle. What is your 5-year goal? What's your 1-year goal? And how do we reverse engineer that to today's training phase, right? The next 4 to 6 weeks, that first mesocycle. And then we just reestablish, reassess, and reprogram every 4 to 6 weeks. And we build out something great. And then third, we make sure that we're not limiting our ability to be resilient. We need to continue to push the envelope, not limit the box that we exist in. And that's how we deal with injuries, man. That's exactly how we deal with it. We can heal them, we can prevent them. At the end of the day, it's risky, right? Like, we can't control everything. People get injured, and even in taking into account all of these things, injuries still exist. But that's what I would do, and that's what I think you should do moving forward. So hope that helped. Hey guys, if you liked this video and you like this format, you can actually have any of your questions answered exactly like this. All you have to do is scan the QR code or click the link in the description and join my free community. So I have a community hosted on the Skool platform where all of my members, free and my one-on-one clients, are all a part, and they can ask questions to me directly. And inside of the community, I will take the time to answer your questions incredibly detailed and in depth. And if it warrants a video, I will record a video just like this, pop it on YouTube, answer the question directly, but really go into a deep dive, detailed answer to your question. So if you like that, if you have questions about weight loss, lifestyle, mindset, finances, anything that I talk about, anything that you're struggling with, pop in, join the community. Like I said, it's completely free, and ask away. We also do a bunch of other things like daily audits, updates. We have a wins page, announcements. So it's really just an awesome place to join others on the same journey that you're on, right? I've done this journey myself. There's plenty of others alongside of you that are on similar journeys. And building that support system, that community, whether it's in person or virtual, is super, super vital. So, like I said, you can scan the QR code or click the link in the description if that sounds like a good fit. And again, it is free. I will see you next time, guys.